is important because it works in a Kubernetes also. So we'll do the exercise. So now next 1 hour, we will be spending time in Docker Compose. So first of all, what is Docker Compose? So whenever somebody said Docker Compose, right? Docker Compose easy itself is give you idea. It's composition means more than one. So Docker Compose means more than one. So you are so far you are creating an image. So when we say image, you have only one image. Now you're going to create a multiple image. So image 1 and image 2. Once you have that image, you can create as a composition image. So you can create as a composition. Composition means you are working together. So you create as a compose. Compose means you are working together. Now, sometimes let's say you are doing node application, and here you need a Redis or database. So that goes hand to hand. The example, node application need database. So you need that. Example, sometime you have Python and Python need Redis. And the beautiful part about compose, if you say compose up, then both will be up. If you say compose down, both will be down. If you say compose update, you can update both. So this will allow you kind of simple management. Now, I would suggest you should deploy one image independent. That way you have better benefit. But sometimes quick and easy way, creating compose, you can create multiple image together. Example we were talking before the break. If you want to do log analytics, which is called sidecar, sometimes we call use concept called sidecar. So your application, maybe Python, Java, C# is here, and you want log aggregator. So this is the agent, you combine it. So always you go to hand. So when you deploy this thing, like in a machine, right, it will deploy as a one image. It will deploy as a one image. Though there are two images, but it always go hand to hand. So that's why it call it deploy as a one image, hand to hand. Now, sometimes this is good because if you are local, then you get a better performance, and you know that you always need that, right? So if you scale it, you always scale together. So if you know that it has to scale together, Docker Compose is very peaceful. But if you think, no, I want to scale my application independently, then database, then you deploy separately. Any questions so far?
Can you give one example for Docker Compose, like what kind of application we should
Yeah, so
use?
if you have Python application, which is using Redis, right? Python application is using Redis. So Redis is one image, Python is one. Example, Node.js is using MySQL or in-memory database, right? So you have Node is an image and MySQL, and you want that application to self-service. So this is a self-serving application altogether. So you don't have any dependency, because if you do Node independently, then you're assuming that MySQL is there. And if you do MySQL, then you're assuming NoSQL is there. But if you don't want to assume, you want to combine together and deploy it as a service. You deploy the service, and the service can be accessed. Service can be accessed. So it can be log analytics, or sometimes you have application 1 and you have component 2. These are dependent. And in that case, you create two applications as a compose, right? Because like I buy some product or buy product, and my product is using this all the time, then in that case, I can create a compose. Again, compose means you need to know that it has to go hand to hand. You cannot just divide. If you divide, it's a Docker image. But if you combine, then compose. Mostly database, mostly Redis, mostly log, mostly instrument, like resource instrument, like CloudWatch. You
Okay,
compose them.
like my e-commerce application and my database.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
it. But for small scale, okay. The reason, if you do this way, it's small scale, like testing purpose and all. Production, I would highly recommend to use independent, no compose. I would not recommend compose. Why? Because here, if you want say scale 50, right? If you say scale 50, everything will scale. That's again monolithic versus microservice. I'm sure you know.
It cannot scale independently.
Yeah. So then again, it's your kind of unnecessary scaling. MySQL when you don't need that scale, right? Because you did
Yeah,
compose, it go as a
you
one unit.
you are using unnecessary resources.
Right. Okay, so moving along. So here you can see here compose, you have database and you have applications and they go hand to hand. So you create a compose file that is normally YAML file, which we will do lab where you specify service first, then image one, image two. Now it is also possible this image you can create through Docker file. So you can create a Docker file, create image, and you use ready-made image. So like example Redis, you don't create it, you use it. Example database, MySQL, you don't create, you use it. So something your application, you build it through Docker file, create an image, give a name, and the dependent image like database or Redis, you do that, combine that as a composite file and create as a service. And then you run Docker compose command. So there is a different command, Docker compose, and you specify up, down, and all. We're gonna do lab, so you will understand. Docker compose has only 5-6 command. So compose up, compose down, update, watch, like those type of command. So you will see that. But it is all depend on container. And we know how to create a container. So we'll see step-by-step exercise. It will take around 45 minutes. If you pay attention, it will work. It will work. And then homework also, I gave you similar exercise. After you do that, you're expert. Okay. So why would I create component? As we talk about, it can make life easy. So in this example, please see here, first you create a service. Docker compose create service. Why? Because this rule number one in you don't allow anybody to talk to container. They all go through service layer. Service is a logical. So you combine that and then people will access the services. So here you come in service, you say, I'm going to create a service, right? And this service is your first image of the web. And you're saying, I want to use this image. This is my host machine. This is my container. And this is the environment, right? We talk about. So this is one image. This is second image. And this is third image. So you combine 3 images together and create a compose. So when you use this file and you say start, it will start all 3 container at once, right? If you say scale, you can scale all 3 at once. So it's all like that. It's the same concept. The only thing here you are going through as a service layer. So service is nothing but the container made the service, your applications are configured service mapping under service key. So everything is under service key. So one image, 2, 3. This service a logical name, which I'm going to show you also. So how you use it. So let's see here. If you want to use volume, please understand there are 2 volume. Volume is nothing but, please understand, volume is nothing but image is using your host. So this is your host machine. So image is using your host hard drive. If you use your host hard drive, right, then you create a volume. So there are 2 type of volume. One is called non-persistent volume and one is called persistent volume. Persistent volume means if you destroy the container, data will remain. Data will remain. And non-persistent volume means if you destroy container, the data will also destroy. So it is possible multiple container might be using the same persistent volume. In that case, it's good to have persistent volume. But if you think like I'm creating data for interim purpose, I don't need that, then create a non-persistent volume. So you can create the volume like that. It means if you read this line carefully, what you're saying here, whenever I'm writing HTML, which is the host machine, and this is going to be in your container. So this is a kind of mount point. This is your host and this is your container. So whenever somebody write here, actually it is written to your host machine. So you can create that. Please understand containers are read only. So whenever you want to write something, you always use volume. And there are 2 volume. We talk about persistent volume and non-persistent volume. So this is more often asked in interview. How do you make a stateful container? Because container itself is a read only. You create a volume. So you store it. If you destroy the container, they still have data. Database is always used. Database always use persistent volume because you can do backup, right? You can do backup because this is mount at a host level. So you can do backup and all, and it kind of help you. Okay. Now, how this will work. So these are the commands which we need to understand. First of all, Docker compose up means start, down means stop, build means read the YAML file and create those images. And if needed, create services for you, right? So that's build. So benefit is very simple. You can do all in one, quick and easy, right? High productivity because Docker compose reduce the time because if you have 3 images, why to create 3 images at once? You can do that. All containers are isolated from each other and reduce the landscape means you can everything in one single machine. So all in one machine. So this is called vertical stack. All container in one machine. So you deploy and it will work. This is normally used for microservices where tiny database, tiny Redis, tiny applications you can. But if you use big application like Amazon or JP Morgan, this is not the right approach. So for small scale application, Compose is the way to go. But in a real, I would not encourage to use component. I would use independent container because that allows you super duper benefit of scale independently, right? Otherwise here you stop 3. You start 3. What if you want to stop only 1? What you want to update 1? You can't do that. So that's another problem. Okay. Now, how we'll do the exercise. So scroll down a little bit. Let's do exercise. So it will help. What happened with this? My exercise is not visible. Oh, do I need refresh? Where is my link? I added one link for you guys today. Very interesting exercise we're gonna do. So when you do the exercise, it will be everything will be very clear. This is homework 1. Yeah. I thought I copied that. No, I didn't. Yeah, here you go. It came now. So I'm hoping you all are in my forum and we can go through exercise, and I'm sure you will enjoy this exercise. So please start your Docker daemon and follow, and stop me anytime in case if you have a problem. This may take 1 hour, but we'll do step by step. You will learn compose in and out. So we are going to create an application, which is the Python application. We will build the Python. When I say build dot, it means build current directory. This one is the host port. This is the container port. We're going to build that. And this Python application is using Redis. So we're going to use 2 images. So image Redis, and we are going to do Python. There are a lot more steps are there. Step by step we'll do. And I'm sure you will understand in and out. So click on the link here. I'm going to add the link here, which is coming from Docker. Let me know if you are here. Can I count everyone is here? Good, good. Dave, welcome. Okay. So first thing, make sure you understand what we are trying to do here. We are using a Flask framework, which is the Python. We are building a website. That website is using Redis. And we are doing counter. So every time you access the website, it will increase the counter. Again, we don't have to be programmer. I'm just giving you example. So Python is a website which is using Redis. We're going to deploy both images together as a web application. We will access through browser. We'll access through browser. So when I access browser, this Python will intercept my request. Python internally use Redis and it will continuously update my browser. So let's see how it goes. First, we're going to create a directory. So we're going to copy this and we'll create a directory. So first go to CMD, start a new CMD. Maybe if you already have, let's close it and start a brand new CMD. So I'm starting CMD and press enter. So this is the brand new CMD. I'm hoping you're able to start a brand new CMD and copy and create a folder. So this one is called make directory. you're creating a folder, and then we are going inside the folder. So let's do one at a time. Stop me anytime, okay? Don't stop me after 10 minutes. Stop me immediately in case if you're not very clear, because this exercise may take 45 minutes, right? So first we are doing make directory. This will be a folder it will create. Press enter and directory will be created. Then we are going to copy this and we'll go to that directory. So that will take me inside the directory. So copy and right click, copy and right click. So once you create a directory, we are doing CD. CD stands for change directory. I'm going inside and press enter. So at this moment, you can see right now I'm in the directory. Can I count everyone is here?
Sir. Yep.
Good. Awesome. Any problem? Dick or David?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now we are going to create a file. See here, create a file called app.py, which is nothing but Python program. I'm going to just quickly walk through. You don't need to know in and out, but just walk through. So what Python program does, Python program use Redis. Again, Python program use Flask also. Flask is nothing but web service development. So we are using web service. Here we are saying Redis. Redis is host Redis and port 6 this. So you are using Redis. You're assuming this Python program is assuming the Redis is there in the machine. And def means function. This program says that anytime you request, I'm going to increase the hits. So you will see the hits. And then anytime somebody requests this website, I'm going to show you how many times you requested, through count, because this hit count will give me idea how many times you requested. Again, you don't need to know any coding. I'm just going to give you idea. It's a Python program. Depend on Redis. It is reading Redis, and it is just increasing the counter. This program is called app.py. So we're going to copy this app.py, Control C. I'm going to go to command prompt and write this one, notepad app.py. Make sure spelling is correct and lowercase. Just like that, notepad app.py. So app.py, it will create a file. It will ask you, do you want to create a file? You just say yes and press enter and just say yes. So your brand new editor. Please understand, notepad app.py will create a new file. Just say yes. And now we're going to copy entire code and save it. So I highlight this thing, Control C, and it's going to copy. And notepad, I'm going to paste it here and save it. So that is my Python program. At this moment, any questions? We are getting code, adding the code in app.py. Okay. Now, don't close this file, minimize that because we will need that in the future. Now, this program, please pay attention. This program use two libraries. One library use Flask and one is Redis. So in Python, you need a package. So if you want to install the package, there are two ways you can do pip command, pip install, right? Pip install and package name. Or you create a file and that file automatically Docker will read and install for you, which is kind of required. So there is a concept called required. So if you put required, the Docker will know and then Docker will start automatically download for you. So here is the concept. So you can see here, we are going to create a new file now, requirement.txt, which will be, I need library Flask and I need a Redis. So it automatically start downloading for you because Docker file will say, oh, there is a requirement. It will get the library for you. So do both library we need. So first we need to create this file. How do we create? Same notepad and requirements.txt. So I'm going to copy this. Control C, make sure names are correct. Make sure names are correct. So I'll say notepad space, right click and paste. Make sure names are correct. So requirements, notepad and press enter. So it will ask you, do you want to create it? You will say yes. What we are trying to do here, we are saying I need this two library. So copy this two and paste it here. and then save it. Again, don't close it. So what we just created a file requirement.txt. You can see on the screen requirement.txt you created, and that requirement.txt has this two library. What we are saying, Docker, download this file. This file is needed by this program. That's what we are saying. Requirement.txt. Now, any questions so far? We have created two files. One is app.py, which is the program file. One is a requirement. Now we are going to create a third file called Docker file. But any questions so far? Good. What you exercise you're doing, normally people spend like weeks and months to do so, but good news, there is a good documentation we can do in 45 minutes. This type of things you do often in a real life. This is like a 5 days activity we are doing in 45 minutes. Why? Because we have ready-made code. So what I'm trying to say, if you have good source, use it. Because if you don't know, if you write in manually, it's going to take weeks and months. So always remember, find it, use it, modify it. So now here in this exercise, we are creating a Docker file. Whenever you say word Docker, we're going to use Notepad, right? Create Notepad, and we use decompiler Docker. And you can see here, this is a Docker file. Let's understand. So we are saying from this thing, so this is the Python working directory code. So it will create a directory, and I'm providing environment variable, right? Multiple environment variable. Now I'll say run this command, and then say copy requirement text. See here, copy requirements text to here. Run pip install. So it will install all library, and then you are saying expose copy dot 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 means anything currently you have, copy into your container. This will be container. This is your local directory, and you are saying cmd. You are running a Flask, run, and it's running in a debug mode. It's running on debug mode. It's running on a debug mode. So please understand, I am running. I'm going to copy this thing. Oops, sorry, my mistake. I'm going to copy this thing. Please understand, I'm copying this thing, Control C. So it's important for all of you to understand Docker file, D capital, it's very important. But when I create a Notepad, it created a text file, txt. Even this one also say that. So we need to rename that. So check it out. We'll say Notepad, D capital Docker file. Even though I'm not giving txt, it will by default add txt. Don't cry, that's normal. Docker file, just say yes and paste it. Though I wanted Docker, it added txt file. Don't worry about that. We'll rename it. But what it does, you try to understand. First, it get a Python. It creates some environment variable. And then it use this requirement where we have two library, Flask and Redis. It will install through pip command, expose the 5000 port, and run this thing. Save it. Don't close the file. Save it. The file is saved as a txt. So we're going to rename that. So we'll say rename. Make sure you follow me. Rename D capital and then tab. D capital and tab and remove the txt. So remember, I did not type. Type rename, then space D and then tab. Tab is the switch in your keyboard. So you get that. Then space, then type D and tab and remove the txt. So basically we are renaming this file as a Docker file. Any questions so far? Good so far? Okay, press enter. So that is done. Now we are going to create a compose file. Now please understand what is compose file. So this is the services. We have web. We are saying build dot. It will start building. When you say build dot, it will call Docker file. Docker file will create image for you. And then say this is the host port and this is the container port. And there is a second image, Redis. So you have two images. Remember, this is in compose. So we can run Docker compose afterwards. So make sure you create this file. So first I copy this, highlight, Control C, go to here and say Notepad space right click. Notepad space right click. You get that compose.yaml. Press enter. Say yes. Again, You just copy it, Control C. Now you can see here we are doing two things. Because we have code, we are building it. When I build it, I use dot. Dot means current directory. It will automatically call Docker file. Docker file has a recipe. It's going to follow the recipe and create a Python web services. And then you're saying also you have Redis. So you're downloading Redis also. So when I run this command, it will create two things. It will create a Python program as a web service, as an image, and Redis. Let's save it. Make sure everything is saved. At this moment, we are good to create a compose. Any questions so far? Now, let's run this command. Docker compose up, right? As soon as you say Docker compose up, Control C, it will start building it for you. So up means start. So compose up. You press enter and you will see start building it. And it is up and running. Let me know if you are able to run it.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Sir. Thank you.
Now open another command prompt, CMD. Open another command prompt, CMD, and go to that directory where you are. So right now, if you see here, I'm in my folder, but I need to go to this one. So I'll do CD, comp and tab. CD, comp and test. Make sure you open another terminal. So you are here. If you do dir, you have everything here. So this is the server is running. And here is another terminal so we can play around. So we have two windows. One is the server is running. It clearly says that server is listening to 5000. Why 5000? Because in our Docker file, if you carefully notice, in Docker file, we give all instruction. In Docker file, we say expose 5000 because we expose 5000. In Docker file, we say run Flask. So it's running Flask right now. So right now it's running Flask. So Flask is running. Everything is configured here. It also install because you say requirement and requirement has two. So Docker file ran. Why it ran? Because in compose you say build. So in compose you give a build. So when you say build, what happened? Docker goes here, follow this thing, build it, and then it goes to this one. So right now there are two images are created. Now, so far things are ready. Now, if I use this URL, copy this URL and paste in the browser. So I'm going to copy this URL and paste in a browser. You will see like that. And if you refresh it, counter will increase. Give me thumbs up if you are able to do so. Your application is up and running. Refresh couple of times and you will see the counter will increment. See if you are able to do so. Are you guys able to run it? See the result or no?
Yes.
Working? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One thing here, my team member is here. She's, I hope she didn't go because, okay, she is here. Okay, so application is running. So let's understand how it magic happened, right? So first, let's go to compose. In compose, you mention about 8,500. That's why you mention here 8,000, right? But how this 8,000 and 5,000 happen? Because here in compose, you say build it and port 8,500. That's mapping. So if this mapping, how did it happen? So if I go to Docker, see here Docker. This one is your computer, which you are using here. This is the computer. This is your computer host port. But this one is a container port, which is coming from here. Makes sense. Dot means run the Docker file. And this one is running your Flask. This line is running your library to install, pip command, library to install. So requirements, if you go to requirements file, you clearly say that I need these two library. So this command, pip command, use this library and install. So that is installed. So at this moment, everything is working fine, and you already clear that if you go to program, in your program, sorry, my mistake, your program app.py, it clearly says that I am using Redis, and the Redis I need port 674, but that Redis came through the compose. So compose is using Redis. So you can see here, you are just, this program has no idea, but compose make this Redis available. So this is available here. So you're using it, and then you are using that cache, and that's what you're displaying. So everything is working fine. Now let's debug a little bit and see how it goes. So let me go back to our program. So where we were here, sorry, here. So now we are able to see, now we want to see, we refresh. Now we want to see how many images we have in this compose. So copy this command. Remember, we created a second window. So this is the server is running. We can't touch here. And the second window, we did CD and we went to the directory. CD the directory. So we are inside the directory. And this is where we have. So now we're going to run this command. Docker, right click and paste here. So it's a command is the command is docker image ls. So please understand, I'm doing docker image ls. So if you do image ls, you will see two images. One is Redis. Give me thumbs up if you are able to see Redis image, right? And the second image was your Python. So I'm not sure what name we gave. We should have two images. One is Redis, and what name we, yeah, here, Compose Web. This one. So Compose Web is we created. So Compose Web is one of the image, and Redis, we are using that here. So this is the Redis, right? That's your image, and Compose Web. So if I go back here, the one we are creating here, this is the web. So see here, this is your Compose Web. So this is your name one, and the Redis is the second one. So there are two images are running. One is Compose Web and one is Redis. So because this is both are because of the, we did a compose up. Now, if you go here and if you scroll down a little bit, let's do this one, not this one. This is just a refresh, so not a problem. Let's do this thing. Docker compose down. Docker compose down. So I'm going to do Docker compose down, Control C, in the second window, right click and paste and press enter. It will stop both images. See right away. It is stopping compose, and you might notice that it does automatically networking. That's a beautiful part about compose, because you have two images, they are talking to each other through memory, a special network it creates. So they can talk to each other, just like you have one machine and you install two software in that machine. Just like that, you are automatically doing that. So you say, when I said compose down, web is down, Redis is down, right? I did not give command to them, but because compose has two, it automatically stopped both of them. Now, if I refresh my the URL, you will not see the result because it's not working. If I refresh that, it's going to cry because it's down. No problem. We go here and say, now let's bring it up. So we can bring it up. So just like compose down, we'll say compose up in a second window, up arrow. And I say Docker space compose up. Press enter. Again, it will bring it up. So now if I refresh, compose up will bring it both up, right? And you can see right now it's smoothly working fine. Any questions so far? So far, everything makes sense? Good. Now, compose, we have right now compose with everything in one file, but you can create a compose with slice. You can create another file, infrastructure. Redis is infrastructure, and include that file here, and you can play around. So let's do that. It will help us. So if you want like a agent or sidecar, you create its own file and include that file in your compose, and then you can run around. So right now we're going to create a new file called infra.yaml, and we'll copy this line in that. And then that file will use in our compose file. So this way we are leveraging each file independently. So example, your Redis, if you have like MySQL, you can create multiple file and include all this file into Compose. So you can manage file independently. It's kind of object oriented. So how it will work? So first we're going to create the file. So copy this thing, go to your second window where you are writing command, right? Or maybe first window, doesn't matter. So here, notepad, space, right click, so infra.yaml, press enter. Now here you paste here, sorry, my mistake. Here you paste this thing. That's your only Redis. So you're saying my infrastructure related, I need Redis. Controls, save this thing. So this file is saved. So you're creating a new file called infra.yaml Redis. So now this file has a name infra.yaml. We're going to use in Compose. So this is the file. Now let's go back to Compose. So Compose has this file. You can see that I already used this thing in infra. So because I use this thing in infra, I'm going to include here. So good news, instructions are here. So I'm going to say include infra, and I don't have to now add Redis here. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, and I'm going to change Compose. I'm going to remove this part and put that. So now understand, save this file. So what we are saying here, Compose, include this file. So you're going to get Redis from here. And then you do all whatever you were doing before. So if you have multiple file, you can just do dash include, dash include, dash include, dash include. Now, once you change Compose YAML, you need to bounce your server. So I'm gonna, if you want to stop this thing server, you can do Control C, it will stop. Use up arrow and press enter. Control C will stop the server. Up arrow, now run it, and it will work just like that. So now your Compose is reading infra and working fine. So if you refresh now, it will work just like that, right? And there are a lot more to cover. So any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Nope.
Good. Awesome. You guys are doing great. Now you can do like, detach mode compose. So just copy that and see detach mode compose means you don't have to, right now what happened, it is holding this thing. This is called interactive mode. But if you do detach mode, it will run in the background. Again, there's nothing spell, but I want to stop right now. So I copy this command and run. So docker compose stop. So I go here and I paste it. It will stop all your component. So you can see in one command interact with multiple images. Kind of nice, right? You can do that. And now the lab completes. Questions? Interesting? Do
Thank
you guys
you.
agree? When you do this exercise, you see how easy it is, right? When you are understanding theory, sometimes it doesn't give you clue. But when you do this exercise, it's so easy. The goal of the compose is bunch of images work together as a single unit. It's a microservice concept, and you can use it for testing purpose or like a mini level, but not like Amazon type of site or Google type of site. In that case, you should independently you create that.